Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's live trading session, combined with a trade review session. My apologies for starting a little bit late. Unfortunately, I had to be somewhere, and the traffic is fairly brutal in Galway today. As you can see behind me, the sun is shining. And that means that the roads are at a standstill, unfortunately. So just in general about the markets at this point, the Dow is trading at a high. We look set in the cash to open well above 35,000, probably above 35,060. The futures are approaching that magical 35,000 level. If we just bring up the daily chart here just for a quick second, you'll see that we've not traded at 35,000 in the past, or probably we have traded very briefly back on this day here, where we traded. We might have just stopped shy of 35,000 to be honest. So as you can see, I have a limit order up there way above the market, just to take advantage hopefully of any stop activity as it comes in. So we're trading at these new record levels. It's all blue, clear skies above us, and anybody tells you where you're going to find resistance, where you're going to find support from this point, if the market does start to tail off, it is lying, to be honest. You can try to use certain indicators to show that, but there is nothing that I would rely on at this stage. So it's been another bumper trading week. I think I'm up about 830 pips at the moment. So fairly consistent over the last 3 weeks, probably around 750 to 800 pips of an average. And in a rich vein of form, so long may that continue. But as we look at the Dow, we're trading up there at 34,960. Now we have had some retail sales numbers out today. The core retail sales numbers came in at positive 1.3%. Forecast was 0.4, so running considerably hotter than was expected there. And then the retail sales number, where a contraction was expected of minus 0.4% month on month, actually had an increase of 0.6. So a few things, I suppose, and the market is obviously trying to make sense of that information at the moment. But the immediate indication would be that inflation continues to run reasonably hot, but at the same time, some of the economic data that we've seen this week that's seen a slowing down of economic activity is contradicted by these numbers as well. So for me, it's kind of all to play for. The numbers I would perceive to be a little bit negative for the market, again resurfacing some of those inflationary fears. But then maybe the offset of that is that the Fed will not act as quickly on the back of some of the numbers that we've seen throughout the course of this week. So trading at a record high, and I'm really, really reluctant to trade at these levels, but we will try to do something around the opening bell if we can. So one limit order in there already, significantly above the market. And I'll just take this back down to a minute so we can watch this change as the market moves around. Apologies, I'm just trying to get some fluids on board at the same stage. When we look at some of the later data charts, the hours and the daily charts, probably moving slightly into more as you would expect at these levels. 61 on the RSI. On the daily chart, I would suggest that's even a little bit lower. Probably not a great deal of change. No, it's still around 61. So very reluctant to buy at these levels, as you can imagine. As I've said, there's a lot of blue sky above and a lot of uncertainty. If I were to buy, I'd be looking at a trade that's really short term. I wouldn't be looking for anything that is going to last too long. I don't think I really want to put a buy order in. I already have that sell order above the market at 35,070, I think it was. I might just put a sell order in a little bit lower than that. Just take this up to I think I want to go above 35,000, to be honest with you. I just think that, you know, as we see a lot of orders entered around the opening bell, you know, we could see that initial jump higher, which could then trigger into some stops, and then we see a movement from those levels. So I'm just going to put a limit order in there at 35,010. As I said, it's not a market I want to buy, so you're not going to be seeing me put a buy order in, or even to try something to buy something below the market. Just looking for a bit of all the opening orders coming into the market, and then a potential to lift that higher on the back of orders continuing to come in that first 5-6 minutes or so, and then potentially triggering a couple of stops between here and 35,000 that might push us through just that little bit and then sell into it. So if I go back to a 1 minute chart, what I'm hoping to see is a nice big, and we're about a minute and a half, a little bit less than a minute and a half to the opening bell. What I'm looking for is a big, strong movement to the upside. You know, the first 1 or 2 candlesticks that we'll see past this level, just shooting off up to the ceiling. Ideally, lacking then once they get above 35,000 in momentum, and then we might see a movement back to the downside, which would be the second movement that we've spoken about in recent times as well. So just a few, 30 seconds or so, just a little bit over 30 seconds now to go to the opening bell. We're still ticking up, 34,970 now, 72 has been the high print so far that I've seen. We're still around those levels. Every chance that this first level that we have, 72 still the high, and we're getting ever closer to that opening bell. So just those first few orders are going to, for me, are going to give you the initial direction. 73 now the high. I'm really just waiting for the bell now on those first trades. So just repeating what I'm expecting to see, and there we go, the bell's gone. Now obviously the orders have matched up a little bit more. Let's just see what happens in this first few minutes of trading. We're back off about 20 pips. It's going to be quite volatile, I think. Orders seem to be, nobody really, obviously we're a lot higher than we were yesterday, but nobody at these levels really taking control. Still trading 34,950, so about 20 pips off the level that we saw at the opening bell. Now a bit more selling coming in, down to 34,930. And as we tick lower, increasingly I'm thinking that we might get that second movement here again today. So if we trade back towards 34,900, then I might look to buy around those levels. We're there at 34. We're in the 34,920s. Just going to put a limit buy in there, just below 34,900, I think. And just continue to monitor that during the course of this session. What I don't want to happen, and I did mention this last time when we were trading last week, you know, if one order fills, you want to cancel the other order. I didn't do that and ended up costing myself 100 pips. We're going down towards the buy limit at the moment, not quite there. Now, I suppose one of the questions we always have to ask ourselves when we're looking at these trades is, and I've been using buy limits and sell limits a little bit more than I would have done in the past, just trying to get that little bit extra out of the trade. So it's now if you wanted to be more aggressive, you can buy here at these levels and look for a move higher. If we're looking for that second move, we're about 2 or 3 minutes into the trading day now. So I'll just watch this for a few more minutes. Let's just see if we enter the market. The first thing I want you to do if we do enter the market is cancel the other order, just in case you that gets triggered later on in the evening, as it did last week. But we have been down to about 34,909. I don't think we really went any lower than that during this opening session so far, and seem to be. And this is early days yet. There is a bit of buying coming in at these levels. Here we go. Let's see if we go down and trigger now. So about 6 or 7 points off of our limit order. It's not quite getting there. I think it may well get there while we continue talking, but I probably need to go away from these screens. So the buy order is in there. What I might do, just so that it's because we are so far away from where we were, I'm going to get rid of the first one of the limit orders. So I'll just delete that now, and we'll continue to keep an eye on this whilst we look at the results. So I'll just bring up the results there. If you have any questions, please send them through. So only 3 trades today, all of 3 trades nicely profitable. Every single day this week we're turning a profit. Tuesday and Wednesday being the better days. Only 3. Now I carried trades a lot during the week. I think there was a gold trade from Monday that I carried for a long period of time. There was a gold trade today from Wednesday that I closed out at a slight profit. And I think that was probably it. The DAX trades were certainly shorter time period. But consistently throughout the week, started the week off positively with about 200 pips worth of profit, and then have slowly built on that during the week to end up with 839 pips. In terms of winners over losers, 35 trades in total, only 3 losing trades. So again, really high success rate in terms of the number of winning trades, the Dow being the most profitable, accounting for over half of the profits that we saw this week, and some nice returns on gold and the DAX, but all 3 products returned profitably. As you can see, just 3 losing trades, 1 for 6 pips, 1 for 10 and 1 for 24. So if you compare and contrast 3 weeks ago versus last week, which was kind of erratic, a couple of big stops and holding trades for far too long, and the previous week, which was a bit more sensible, we certainly learnt some lessons from last week, far more controlled in terms of the trading. I don't think there's been any point during the week that I've actually been in a net negative position, so it's worked well. In terms of the trades, obviously, as I've mentioned already, I carried a couple of trades during the week, so that means my entry points could definitely have been better. But I think the overall sense, or the overall bias that I have for the market at these levels is pretty much right. Now, one of the trades is activated. I'm presuming that it is the buy order, and it would be. So we're long there at 34,897, and the market is holding around those levels. So I'm just going to hold on to that for the time being. Just finish up on the trades. So the bias, earnings season is upon us. We've been waiting for this. We had a push up prior to this last week, and then we've consolidated and built on those gains early this week. Will it continue? I am sceptical. I think that Q3 and Q4 aren't going to be as good. Obviously, the retail sales numbers have come in better than expected today in terms of the sales side of things. The economic data for the week is generally quite mixed. Earnings have been good, but when you look below the car boot or you look under the cover, there are some worrying signs in terms of what's happening for their core methods of earning going forward. So it's going to be interesting over the next period. I do think that the big technology stocks will come back with a bang over the next period. So about 10 pips in profit on that trade at the moment. I'll probably put a TP in about 25 or 30 pips away and see if we can get to those levels. And what I'm looking for now, we're about 7 minutes into the trading day, so I'm looking for that second surge in terms of a movement. I call it a surge because I'm hoping it's for the upside. But equally so, it could be a movement to the downside. So just looking for a movement to materialise, ideally to the upside because we're long. I do think that everything this weekend is geared up to a settlement above 35,000 for Dow. Whether Dow futures can get there or not, I wouldn't be entirely sure. I think my own trading, because we're at these record levels, I prefer to avoid trading than being too aggressive. I think you can quite easily get yourself caught in a situation where you become very stubborn and upset with the market and continue to build up too much of a position too quickly, there is no point spoiling a good week. So there were opportunities just there to take 25 pips out of the market. I had my phone open to do it and I've missed it. But if the opportunity comes around again, I'll be looking to take profit at those levels. But that's pretty much all I have time for today. If you have any comments, if you have any questions that you want to ask, please send them in on email to either Sam or I, and over the course of the weekend I will respond to them. If you have any questions in relation to a specific trade, then equally so, send those through and I will respond to them over the course of the weekend. So I've just taken profit there at 26 pips on that trade, and I will see you and speak to you again from Monday. Take care and have a good weekend.